Before you do what? Before people come to in-person session there?
Mhm.
Well, at least it's happening. That's pretty cool. All right. Well, hello. So I'm hoping with a nice small group tonight that we might have some discussion, that you might just like break in with comments or questions, or afterwards that we have a discussion. Uh let's see. So I was going to talk about the do you start with any kind of verse or anything? Go ahead. What would the verse be?
May the sacred presence of the one who said he would abide in his teachings be our guide. May we follow his glorious example and tread with unfaltering steps his noble path, until we too shall attain enlightenment. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, maha prajna paramita.
Thank you. Uh so I was going to talk about the gateway of gratitude because it's Thanksgiving. um so as I think most of you know, our practice is to try to align ourselves with reality. This is one of my favorite things about Zen, is that we're not trying to escape to a different place. We're not trying to make ourselves into some special thing. We like the best thing is just to align with reality. To see it clearly, to act accordingly, and thereby you will find that is the best way to live, the least painful way to live, the most fruitful way to live. It minimizes suffering, recognizes interdependence, awakens compassion, allows us to see clearly and respond appropriately. Now, there are there's, as Kyogen used to say, there's many ways to slice the Dharma tomato. So today I'm going to say there's two entrances to practice. And this I do kind of get from Bodhidharma. Insight and practice. And we work on both of these in our practice. Different aspects of our practice address the insight and the practice. So by that I mean insight is understanding. And of course we know that's not just intellectual understanding, that's really knowing, really seeing and perceiving for ourselves. And practice is, those are the actions of body, speech, and mind we choose to do in order to build up good habits, eliminate bad habits, train ourselves. So in terms of these entry gates of insight or practice, for instance, if we to some extent understand emptiness, understand that we are empty of inherent enduring self nature and all things are empty, we tend to have less self-concern, less self-absorption. At the same time, if we practice, trying to be less self-absorbed, we tend to get an insight into emptiness. We tend, as we let go of things and we realize, oh, wow, there was nothing really real there for me to let go of. And letting go actually leads to more freedom. And so then actually we gain insight through that practice. Or we might awaken in a way to interdependence, and might naturally leads to compassion and generosity and ethical behavior, because we see we are not separate from other beings and our well-being is intimately tied to theirs. Or we can practice ethical behavior and generosity and stuff like that. And in that process, learn in what way we are not separate from other beings. So, in that sense, I'm thinking of gratitude similarly, that gratitude can flow from insight, and insight can flow from the practice of gratitude. When we are in touch with reality, when we're in touch with emptiness and interdependence, gratitude just arises, just incredibly naturally. It's, and not just an unlimited gratitude, this kind of infinite gratitude that just knows no limits. Not just gratitude, well, I'm glad, I'm grateful for, that I'm fed and have a roof over my head, and I'm grateful for my family, and I'm great, which is definitely, those things apply too, but we're talking about just, I'm grateful for just existence. I'm grateful for that, leaf outside my window. I'm grateful for the twinkle of the sunshine in the dust. I'm just grateful for everything. So that kind of state of gratitude arises from insight. But if we, which I think probably many of us have done some practice like this, cultivating gratitude, turning our mind toward gratitude, can also help us let go of, rise beyond self-concern, let go of some of our suffering, open up to the deeper reality. So in terms of gratitude, I don't think I need to explain to a bunch of Zennies that we don't have to feel grateful to anyone, right? It's I mean, maybe you do, but it doesn't, you don't need a focus. You don't need a responsible agent. You can just be grateful. And I was reflecting on this a little bit on I'm listening to a wonderful book called Braiding Sweetgrass by an indigenous woman and botanist, and she has a whole chapter on gifts and this sense that the indigenous people have, that the nature is giving them whatever bounty they receive is a gift. And she talks about this sense of a gift. She picking wild strawberries as a child, and the different relationship you have to a gift than you do to something that you feel like you have earned, bought, you're entitled to. So these wild strawberries that they would just go out and gather for free versus strawberries you buy in the store, and just in a gift is something that you might not have had. You can't count on having. So I feel like this is part of that, why, when we do align with reality, awaken to reality, that we have this sense that none of this had to be. I didn't have to be alive. We may have many, many complaints about the world, but dang, I mean, just the fact that Earth exists, just the fact that, I have lungs that are pulling in air and taking oxygen and sending it out to my body, and this is all just miraculous. But our states of mind are quite varied. So I'm thinking of gratitude also as a way to a reflection of one way to know our state of mind is whether gratitude is absent or present, or in what degree. When we are depressed, in despair, like, I don't know about you, but I mean, gratitude is like not to be found. It's almost like the definition It's just everything is meaningless, bleak, not worth celebrating. It's tasteless. So there's like, even when gratitude should be there, it's just like, eh. So that's, one extreme of just when we are caught in our own pain and we're not feeling connected, we don't have a sense of interdependence, and we don't have a sense of all of that which is greater. The gratitude will be very lacking. And I don't know about you, but like, if we are, or someone is in a really dark place like that, other people may say, well, at least, I'll try to cheer you up. Well, at least this happened, at least you have this. Your house burned down, but at least there's still daffodils glowing in your front yard. It could just be like, not very helpful. But even when we're not in such a dark place, our self-concern often dampens our gratitude. We may, maybe we feel it if somebody does something explicitly nice for us, or gratitude may arise when something's particularly wonderful. But for the most part, we're not talking about walking around and feeling grateful for the, sun coming through the dust beams, right? We're kind of more focused on what we don't yet, we don't have, what we don't yet have, what we haven't yet achieved, the past or the future, something else, some kind of self-referential concern that just kind of blocks out the gratitude. So when we practice with gratitude, sometimes it's as simple as just trying to feel it. I mean, I know people who do gratitude journals, or a reflection at the end of the day, trying to call to mind the things that to be grateful for, and that can really shift one's mind and attitude pretty dramatically, turning the mind and heart in a different direction toward all the ways we're supported at every moment, all of the beings who are still part of our life, the health we still enjoy, the relative peace of this moment, the opportunity to study the Dharma together. So there's that kind of antidote to small-mindedness or self-concern or whatever, that we can cultivate gratitude. And that's why I'm like, I don't understand why gratitude isn't the fifth Brahma Vihara. Because it seems like something very similar to like goodwill, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity. It's this similar to the Brahma Viharas. It's this, it's a abiding, if you will, that develops over our practice, but can also be deliberately cultivated. So there's that kind of direct practice, but of course, from a Zen point of view as well, when we're studying the self, a practice of gratitude can also involve just mindfulness of gratitude, noticing without judgment or agenda when it's absent, when it's in short supply, when it's flowing more freely, and a curiosity about it. What impedes gratitude? Being wrapped up in self-concern, entranced by the delusion of an inherently existing, independent, enduring self-nature. And an absence of gratitude can be a sign of this, but then we can notice, oh, gratitude is kind of increased. So, my mind is feeling a little bit more liberated. And watch that moment of shift from self-concern to gratitude. And that, like I was saying earlier, that this practice can lead to insight. And if we watch that moment where self-concern shifts to gratitude, I feel like that is a real life evidence of the emptiness of self. If we really keep our eye closely on that and we watch and we ask, what happened here? Like the self is this hard little thing and we just went like this and it's gone. It's not a real thing. It feels so real and compelling, but we just shifted it to like look around and be grateful. So that's informing us about the emptiness of self. So to whatever degree we cultivate it, gratitude is extremely beneficial. It just feels better than stress, grasping, and resentment. Helps us appreciate our lives, be more responsive and receptive. And I think similarly to the Brahma Viharas, which I know that you guys have Metta Mondays, I think we can take gratitude and try to expand it and extend it in a similar way that we do to metta, where, we might naturally feel metta for a couple nice, non-troubling beings, right? We might naturally feel that, but the practice of it, what makes it a perfection is extending it, is being able to extend that to all beings. That is where the challenge is. So similarly, I think extending gratitude wider beyond even just, the obvious benefits that we are enjoying, but extending gratitude even wider and beyond just certain moments, right? Trying to extend it more throughout our lives. Grateful, wouldn't that be great to walk around grateful for each moment, grateful for each breath. So I will just kind of leave it there. I have a few questions to get the conversation going if people don't have things they spontaneously want to chime in with. But if you do, please. Yeah.
I associate it with mudita.
The sympathetic joy.
Yeah. When I see that with other, maybe that's an expression of my gratitude toward noticing this, what's going on with somebody else that's joyful or useful or
Yeah, I suppose they overlap there. I don't know. What would be the difference, if there's any difference?
I think feeling happiness for somebody else's good fortune is pretty similar to gratitude. It feels similar.
Maybe it's the idea that sympathetic joy is like joy on behalf of someone else, whereas it seems like the gratitude is about us. It's our relationship to the universe. So again, there might be a similar kind of appreciative attitude there.
Maybe that's the bridge, is if I'm feeling sympathetic joy and that emerges as gratitude for someone else's good fortune, it's like you were talking about how practice can lead to insight and insight can lead to more practice. If I'm feeling grateful for somebody else's good fortune, kind of on their behalf, it's in a way I'm recognizing our interdependence. Like, your good fortune is my good fortune and your misfortune is my misfortune, and we are not actually separate.
There's an aspect to, I think of gratitude of, that aspect where of thinking of things particularly as a gift, and that like we had nothing or little to do with them coming to us. So there's an aspect of that which is missing from mudita, which is like I feel goodwill for you and I see you having good fortune, so I'm happy for you because I know you're happy. But there's a little piece in there about gratitude of that. I didn't have to be this way. It's a gift that we shouldn't take for granted. That, I don't know. It's like
I like that point, Domyo. I see in myself gratitude for the pleasant aspects of my life that come up so often after I encounter so much suffering in the hospital. And there is a sense that my life could be very different and so much worse in so many ways, and it's not. And it just, seeing all of the ways lives can go awry, I'm very grateful for the way mine is turning out.
Domyo, you mentioned Braiding Sweetgrass, which is a really lovely, important book, I think. And she has this gratitude practice, long prayer, in which she lists pretty much everything you can think of. Gratitude for, gratitude for the bird people and for the insect people and for the plant people and for the water thing in it. And it was a little bit of a turnaround for me, to realize that I could. So when I fill water buckets in the barn every morning, and anytime I turn on the water, my practice has, since I've read that, I used to just say, thank you for the water because it's been so dry here for so long. But now I realize I can just thank the water. Thank you, water. There doesn't have to be a middleman. And so that was kind of a turning point. Yeah. I also have this practice that's a little cheesy, but it's so helpful for me. Where it's called changing have to get to.
Where did you?
I got that from James Baraz's Awakening Joy course.
Because I read it somewhere else as well, and but I can't remember where.
Oh.
And it's so
it's powerful for a cheesy little thing. It's really, for me, it's been powerful. So instead of like I have to go to the dentist, I get to go to the dentist, and everything can be like that. It's kind of huge. But I also have sometimes a little almost there's almost a superstitious thing that goes along with gratitude for me sometimes, which has a shadow side. It can become, that practice for me can almost become this sort of talisman, that wards off evil things. If I'm grateful, so that it's sometimes a little bit negative or sort of scary or guilt inducing. I should be grateful for this, and I am. I'm grateful. Don't get me wrong. I'm grateful. I don't know how to articulate that exactly, but it does have a little shadow side for me. Right.
It's difficult coming from we basically all are coming from a Judeo-Christian background, whether we really ever practiced or not. That sense that there is a God and he's watching. And he gave us this stuff, and we better be grateful.
You better be grateful. You better be grateful.
That's funny.
Yeah. But I loved your description of the just spontaneously arising gratitude for everything. That's so beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's lots of different lenses to look at it through, and sometimes similarly I think about, what if this is the last day of my life, this was my last zazen period, this was my last sangha meeting, and I imagine, if you had one day left and you were driving along and you got stuck in traffic, you'd just be like, wow, traffic. I mean, whatever happened that day would be like, I am still alive. And that's so different from my usual attitude about traffic, right?
You said that, Domyo. My first thought was like, I would stop for French fries.
I've had one last. Yeah, you just like pull to the side of the road, get out, just sit, like watch the traffic go by. Joanne.
Hello. I had to pipe in. I'm working, so I'm just listening in the background. But something, I have a family member that is terminal, actually in Florida. And actually, I have two people in hospice right now. But anyway, the person in Florida, and tonight, listening to you, there was this light bulb moment. She has been texting me for quite a while, right before she goes to bed. And she tells me it's always sweet dreams, honey, or sleep tight, honey, or just this very, restful sleep, sweetheart. And I love you. And that she does that every night now before she goes to sleep. And when I was listening to you and you said, I may not be here tomorrow. And it was this just this real light bulb moment of she has this, she's facing death and she may not be here in the morning. And so there's this sense of such, like, I'm feeling her gratitude that I'm out here and she can still tell me good night. And so it's just has been such a sweet thing. It's been a sweet thing all along, but now with you just kind of adding this extra piece to it tonight, knowing that it just wasn't that she was just saying I love you at the end of the night or telling me sweet dreams. There was this other piece of it that kind of just showed up tonight. So much gratitude for your talk.
She's grateful that you're there, grateful that she's still there to tell you good night.
Yeah.
Grateful for another night.
Yeah.
I like it.
Have any of you seen Nightbird on the CNN Chris Como show? She's a young woman. She was on America's Got Talent, really wonderful singer. And she has metastatic cancer. And she's young. I don't know how old she is, but she's just like all about being grateful that she has another moment. And she's very hopeful and joyous. And what she's sort of famous for now is her saying, don't wait until life is less hard before you decide to be happy. And she had like a 2% chance of living. And now she was on last night, I guess, and she has like things are better. I mean, she's still looking forward to the future. I don't know how that relates exactly because she's not thinking about dying, but she is thinking about dying because she said, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not supposed to be alive, but here I am, and I'm just going to make the most out of each moment. She's very inspiring. She has a gazillion followers who are just like, wow, this person is like, she shouldn't be here. She's in pain all the time, suffering and pain all the time. and yet she's smiling and she's happy and she's singing and she's writing a book, you know. Who knows if she'll finish it, but she's writing it. It's very inspiring. And the other thing that I saw that I liked, and I don't know why or even how it relates to our conversation, but I just read, if you love life, life will love you back. I don't know how that fits, but it just struck me. I loved it. I don't know why, but I loved it. My 2 cents worth.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something when I reflect on how far our kind of everyday regular attitudes can be from that sometimes. I think there is, just exploring that. I'm sure this isn't the only thing that's there, but that sense of expectation and entitlement that somehow, of course I've got another day. Of course there's water in the tap. I paid my bill, like, but it at an even more subtle level, I think it has to do with this sense of self, that the self earned this, or the self deserves this. The self had something to do with this coming to you. And, of course, the vast majority of the time it does not. I mean, the list is absolutely infinite of the things, like, I don't deserve credit for this body. I don't deserve credit for the air. I don't deserve credit for, continued health. It's all a gift. It's all coming to me and has like nothing to do with me. So there you go. You get kind of that lesson on the emptiness of self by exploring gratitude. I remember looking at my pets once in college like that. Just had this insight looking at them and just thought, like, wow, thanks for being here. Like, thanks for choosing to hang out with me. Rather than this sense that they're my pets and that therefore that they're here. They're creatures and they're choosing to be with me.
Your description of gratitude as a gift of the world, our experiences as gifts, things that we haven't done anything necessarily to earn or that are just gifted to us, is like the experience of grace.
Mm.
It feels similar to me.
Yeah.
So I'm a little, I've been thinking about what you said. I think what you said anyway is that gift of good health that we haven't, or health that we haven't done anything for. And so I'm sort of looking at both sides of that. So you play in my view, you play the odds towards good health if you take care of your body and if you feed it well, exercise it. And so to me, you still have what you've been born with, or your DNA affects, how you are, but you still can play the odds. You can improve your odds by taking care of your body. So how does that fit into what you said?
Well, there's the two truths, right? Like, yeah. Self is empty of enduring and inherent self existence, and yet what we do does matter. What we do does have an effect. So it's that kind of, there's an apparent tension there, right? We live both sides, and but I think of it as like, I don't know, the contribution that we make, the small self makes, is like is a very small contribution. You know, like we're given this material and we try to take care of it and we try to work with it, and that matters a lot, you know, how we take care of our relationships and our responsibilities and whatever. But like, yeah, we're just participating, you know, we're just taking care as opposed to like actually holding it, actually having like, you know, said control over it.
Yeah,
So
it doesn't guarantee an outcome.
mhm.
You can take really good care of yourself and still get cancer and die, you know, prematurely, or have surgeries, or have, you know, disfigurations and things like that.
Yeah.
Is that what you kind of saying? Yes.
Oh,
You
yeah.
do the best you can, but you don't have control over it. And so maybe like for me, it's like, okay, what did I do wrong? Maybe you did nothing wrong. It was just, it's the way it plays out, you know, and you can learn from it if you don't fight it too much.
Well, that's the tricky part about being a self. It's that like, yes, we have to do our best and we have to participate and we have to face the repercussions of what we do, but it's a dangerous thing when we think we are like really totally in control because we're not, and then it's really tough, because then when we do face difficulty, who's to blame? Us, I guess, right? And that's not really true either, even if we contributed. Yeah, even if we make mistakes, we just are who we are. We did our best. I always loved that. Early on in practice, I would think like, well, oh, I didn't do my best there. When it's like, no, I think you did. I think that was your best. Like, you may look back and think, oh man, I could have done this and I could have done that, but at the moment, that was my best. So even when we make mistakes, we're doing our best. Is there a closing?
There is a closing verse.
All right.
Would you like me to say it?
Sure.
The universe is as the boundless sky. Just as the lotus is not wetted by the water that surrounds it, the mind is immaculate and beyond the dust. Let us bow to the highest Lord. All Buddhas throughout space and time, all honored ones, bodhisattvas, mahasattvas, wisdom beyond wisdom, maha prajna paramita. Thanks for being here, Domyo.
My
Thank you
pleasure.
so much, Del.